I was kicked out of the house when I was, 16 by my dad. He was very strict, and was homeless for about a year and a half after that. So I went through the struggles of not having anything and sleeping in my car for about a year and a half.
Welcome to Talks with Elona, Untold Stories. I am your host, Elona, and I'm so excited for today's guest. Eric is someone that I've looked up to for years. He has one of the best stories that I've ever heard. He's so motivational and so inspirational, and I can't wait for you to hear what he has to say. Friendly reminder, all the stories in the series, real stories, real people, but also just their opinion. For the most up-to-date and recent information on the coronavirus, please go on the WHO and CDC websites. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Eric.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm great.
I really appreciate your time today, and let's jump right in. So, Eric, I know a little bit about your story, and it's one of my favorite stories. I tell you this all the time. So,
Thank you.
can you tell the audience, or the listeners rather, a little bit about yourself and the defining moments in your life?
Okay, so where do we start? So my family and I are immigrants into this country. I came here when I was 5. So we've been here for roughly about 30 years now, a little over 30 years. I'm getting old. I'm 36. So we came here as immigrants. Obviously, our background, we came from a very low income family. We're originally from Guatemala, Central America, very beautiful country, but very third world. And so, my parents brought us here because they wanted to provide a better opportunity for us. And I think that was sort of like the initial, drive for me as growing up in a lower income family, was just wanting more and knowing that there was an opportunity and trying to make my parents, my mother, proud of how much she sacrificed for us during the time that we were away from her before we got here. And so I think that was sort of the initial drive for myself to look for doing more in life and to look for, following and achieving my dreams. Although I don't come from an entrepreneurship type family, my mom was always doing extra side hustles, as we call it nowadays, outside of work to try to make extra income. And I saw her, how hard she worked. And I really admire that growing up. I saw how hard she would work on the weekends to sell. She would go to downtown LA, take us with us. She would buy wholesale clothing, and then she would go and sell it to her friends at retail or at a discounted price, but still made money doing that. So I was always intrigued by the opportunity of how you can buy something for less and sell it for more since I was a kid, and I would always ask my mom questions. So that's kind of where we came from. Got in a little bit of trouble with my parents very early on. I was kicked out of the house when I was 16 by my dad. He was very strict. And was homeless for about a year and a half after that. So I went through the struggles of not having anything and sleeping in my car for about a year and a half. And then, so I was always looking for opportunities, dropped out of high school because I've always felt out of place in school. I wasn't the smartest kid in school. I was always failing my classes. I was happy when I got a C or a D type of student, and I never felt like I fit in. So right away, I started going into working for different companies and just trying to learn. And I got intrigued by just starting my own business and working for myself at a very young age. At the age of 16 and a half, I was, going door to door selling toys that my friend and I would go to downtown. We would buy them at wholesale price. And then all afternoon I would spend knocking on doors and selling those toys for a $2 profit. So I was always doing things that, were out of the box as a kid. I was really never, in some ways, I don't think I had a real teenage childhood where, most teenagers around that age were probably, doing homework or doing after school activities or sports. And I was more of how do I make money to get out of this mess I'm in? And that's how my journey started. So that's kind of my background. Obviously, I've done multiple things since I've been an entrepreneur since I was 16 years old. I've done everything from, doing life insurance, selling life insurance, to selling real estate for myself, working for myself. 2008 hit, the economy, the crash of the economy in 2008 taught me the biggest lesson of my life, to understand and value the money that I make and to live by my means and not overspend. So the next time that I had an opportunity to rebuild myself back up, I would be in the green at all times. And that's sort of what I did. 3 years later, in 2010, I started getting into the digital, media, online industries. I was not really experienced with it. I learned so much during the 3 years that I was down, and I was, basically had lost everything in 2009 and 10 and 11. And I started just getting very intrigued and passionate about online businesses and how fast they were starting to grow in that area. And I love the idea of being able to work from home in front of a computer and build a business where I can provide value for small businesses or other people with my knowledge of what I had learned. In 2011, I launched a YouTube network that went on and signed thousands of YouTube channels to help them monetize their content directly by the partnership that we had with Google. So that was like my first in at a digital media business, if you will. And that's how I learned social media. That's basically talking to the influencers that I was working with in 2011. That was how I learned the actual, the power behind what influencers bring to the table for brands. Mm-hmm. That was still very early on. So it was very hard to work with brands back then. And we were just basically making money off of monetizing content against ads. The little 30-second commercial you watch before you watch a YouTube video. So that was my first digital media business. Went on from that to getting into social media more, figuring out how to kind of spread out our business from outside of YouTube to other platforms like Twitter at the time. And that's where I met my two partners, my former partners, who had basically, these genius kids that had basically had this idea to share photography and videography. At the time, it was only photography, but also we were starting to do a little bit of video later on. But they were basically the original creators of Earth Pics and History and Pictures. And I joined them to basically come in because they were still in high school, and I joined them to come in and turn it into a real business, a real media business. And we actually ended up doing that. But, we ended up buying them out a year later. The company at the time, we raised money from investors. We took that company as a media business from zero revenues to over, 12 million, almost 50 million at one point in revenues per year, with about 45 employees. So we played that whole game. I learned so much in those 4 years. So now fast forward to 2020, my network is now my social media audience network with the different accounts that, we still own and operate are combined 44 million followers. Wow. Mostly on Instagram. Facebook is Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So now we act as a creative agency in the travel space. As you know, I'm, basically behind Earth Pics, being one of the largest travel communities on social media today, combined 20 million followers across Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And so what we do, we focus on is we focus now on helping brands like hotels. In some cases, we work with a couple of airlines and other travel brands that are looking to expand and basically, put their brands in front of millions of people. You're very aware with that business. So that's what we do. And obviously I have, two other companies that, one of them is a travel agency. So it goes hand in hand with the travel things that I do in the travel agency. We launched that in 2018 as a subscription business to basically be the only company in the world that does not mark up hotel prices and airline prices. And we launched that December 2018. We did very well in 2019, but as of this whole coronavirus started to unfold, we had to put a stop to the company, and we put everyone's subscriptions on hold as well. And we're taking this time to now just revamp our technology and launch mobile applications when things get back to normal.
Sure. Wow. That's a lot to take in. We'll get back to the business side of the story, but so you come from an immigrant family to living in your car to then kind of coming back up and then losing it all again in 2008, and now coming back up to having multiple businesses and a network of over 40 million. There must have been so much self-reflection over this time, and I know you speak to that as well. What is at the core of self-reflection, and how can other people self-reflect and get into that and optimize that in their lives?
Yeah, that's basically, I think that if I would have focused early on in 2008, 2009, when things started to unfold for me and I started to lose everything that I had worked so hard for years to make, to build. If I knew what I know today, which is like, embrace the hard times, because that's through failure is when you learn the most. You know, it's actually those times where you tend to have the most, you gain the most experience from life, whether it's business or personal. And those were the times that taught me the lessons that how I carry myself nowadays. Number one, value people and relationships, friendships, whether how you establish friendships with people. Number two, value the dollar, every dollar that you make. Value money. It's not going to be around forever if you don't value it. Just like relationships won't be around forever if you don't value them. And number three, really understanding who your real friends are through hard times, right? Because anyone can be around where you're doing well for yourself, but when you're doing bad for yourself, that's really when you see who the friends that are going to stick around for that time. And for me at the time, you know, only really 2 people stuck around out of all my friends. And I was the kind of person, you know, I was the kind of person back in 2005, 6, and 7 that would go out and pay for everyone because I was doing so well. So I thought, you know, hey, I'm doing so well, so I can support everyone in going out. And, you know, when hard times came, no one stuck around. And so just really identifying through those hard times, taking some time to understand and self-reflect on, you know, what are the things that make you happy? How did I get to this point? Was I doing what I was doing because of the money, or was I doing it because it really brought joy to my life? And now I have a strict policy and rule in my life, which is I don't do anything unless I know that the reward equals happiness. It's not really about the reward equals money. It's more about the reward equals happiness. Mm-hmm. Where in my 20s, I would do things based on the reward factor being money. Yeah. And that was the biggest lesson that I learned from that time. And so my advice to people is always like, don't chase money. Don't chase opportunity based on money. Chase opportunity based on happiness. Because at the end of the day, whether you make money or you don't, at least you were happy during that time that you were doing it, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's kind of how I live my life now. And, you know, I know that I've said this in the past to other people, and people kind of reply with like, oh, it's easy for you to say that now that you're doing well. But no, now I'm basically living my life that way now, because when I wasn't doing well, I regretted the things that I did in the past, right, that were based on the reward being money. And so now I chase happiness.
And how do you measure happiness? Like in your daily life?
Yeah, that's a good question too, because obviously, you know, people say, well, not everything, like if you do something that makes you happy, you're going to have hard days, right? So the way that I measure happiness is whether, you know, I'm looking forward to waking up and doing it all over again every single morning. You know, there's times, not everything that I do every single day, you know, is, you know, great. And, you know, what is the word I'm looking for? Pleasant. And there's times where, you know, we go through hardships or have issues. Being an entrepreneur is like riding a roller coaster. So you have to get used to the ups and downs. So measuring happiness is just really about, even if I had a down day today, am I looking forward to getting up tomorrow? Mm-hmm. And that really goes to like that describes all of it, because at the end of the day, like, you know, I had a few bad days that last week where business was not going well. But at the end of the night, I was still like, I can't wait to get up tomorrow and do it all over again, because now I have another opportunity to work on the things that didn't go as planned.
And a challenge as well.
Yeah. So that's how I measure happiness is, am I looking forward to it the next day, whatever the outcome is?
Yep. I love that. And now you have a network that's so big. How do you balance your personal life and knowing that you have over 40 million people under your belt?
Not overthinking it. I think that, you know, one of the, I know so many influencers, from travel influencers to actually, you know, the Jake Pauls of the world. I've known Jake Paul for many years since, you know, he started his career. He's very proud of what he's accomplished. But one thing that I've talked to many influencers about is the difference is like not allowing social media to make or mold who you are as a person. Understanding that social media, for me, 44 million people in front of us every day, is just a business and a way to inspire people, whether it's through the beautiful photography videos that we share, inspire them to travel to other places, or on the history side, inspire them to learn more about history and educate them. So just understanding that it's not who you are. It's not my personality. I don't care. Having 44 million followers doesn't make who I am. that's just my business. And that's separating that and understanding that in your mind allows you to basically be able to balance your personal life, with everything that you do,
Sure.
So it's like, I've never really seen that as like a metric to measure who I am as a person. The
Mm-hmm.
way that I measure who am as a person is how many people I've helped, how
Yeah.
many lives I've changed. That's really how I measure who I am. It's not really about, oh, look at this guy. Even I get uncomfortable when people introduce me at parties or like events, like influencer events, and they introduce me as like, oh, by the way, this is Eric. Dude, this guy has 44 million, or this guy has 17 million followers, or he's Earthpix, or
Yeah.
I get very uncomfortable when people introduce me that way. I would rather them just say, hey, this is my friend Eric from LA. He's here to hang out with us, and not talk about, I don't know why it's always been that way, but I think it's more in the sense that I don't want to be identified as that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And just knowing how to separate it is how you keep that well balance of being a normal person, which I think everyone's a normal person at the end of the day, but being normal with who my family is and being grounded at the end of the day with my family and, those, my loved ones.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. And now in the social media space, I get this question all the time. Can I still enter this space, and can I still be someone in this space, right? And the definition for being someone, like you said, it's not always followers, right? But do you think that anyone that's just about to enter the social media space can still succeed? And if they can, which platform would it be on?
I do think that there's still a lot of opportunity ahead of us. I still do think that, I mean, if you look at the metrics over the last 3-5 years, it's been growing year after year. And then people start to ask, well, is it going to stop growing? And it's like, no, it's not going to stop growing. What's going to happen is there's going to be new platforms that evolve. And so one of the opportunities right now to grow any platform is on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad because me being in the industry and knowing what I know, I feel like I entered TikTok maybe 2 years too late. But then that thought, overthinking that, like, oh yeah, you know what, or just thinking to myself like, it's not the type of platform I want to be on right now. And then I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute, that's what people were saying about Instagram back in 2012.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what people were saying about Facebook in 2006, 7, and 8. So why am I saying that to myself? It's just a limiting belief, right? And understanding how to identify those limiting beliefs. I said, screw it. I created an account. I started posting videos, and I was fortunate enough to hear someone who had millions of followers on TikTok tell me, don't worry about the views, which is the advice that I give everyone else on Instagram and on other platforms. And it was like, hearing her say that was like, I'm hearing myself talk and I'm listening to this person because she's successful on TikTok. But this is the same advice that I give everyone on Instagram, right? Don't worry about the followers. Don't worry about the views. Don't worry about the likes. Just do it because you love it. Do it because you're passionate, and eventually the traction is going to catch fire, right? So I just started posting videos, but then, I felt like I wasn't really putting an effort into it, and I wasn't really kind of like looking at what videos I was posting, and just kind of, and then one day after 30 days of posting a video, 2 or 3 videos per week, I found this old video from 2 years ago that I had never posted, that was recorded by an iPhone 7, I think it was, recorded by an iPhone 7. And it was just of me waking up in this, underwater villa in Maldives. And it wasn't the best video shot. If you look at the video, I'm not even positioning the camera so that you can clearly see the entire beautiful villa. But I just woke up, pulled the sheets out, walked to the bathroom, and then I posted this like 15-second video that says, and I captioned it like, woke up 40 feet below the sea, right? Yeah. So that video started catching fire. In a matter of one day, it was at over 15 million views. In a matter of 2 days, it got over 20 million views, and then it just kept growing. In a matter of 3 days, and then from that point on, I like that day, I started posting more content, like 3 videos, 4 videos, because there was so much traffic coming in, and I wanted to take advantage of that. So in 3 days, my account grew to over from 1,300 followers to over 220,000.
Wow.
In 3 days.
The power of TikTok right now.
The power of TikTok right now. I think the platform is so powerful because Dave actually mastered that the default page is the For You page, which would be, imagine imagine you logging to Instagram today, and your feed is filled with nothing but random videos based on your interest.
Yeah.
People can find content that's not even viral or new up and coming, influencers or people posting a lot easier. And that's why I think the success of TikTok right now is people need to understand is that and so that time where my TikTok grew from 1,300 to over 220,000 in 3 days. Obviously I had my linked Instagram on my homepage and all that traffic was coming in. I saw a spike in Instagram of over 12,000 followers in 3 days as well. So people were reaching out to me as well. And like, I got a couple hundred DMs saying, I love your videos, like this, that. In a matter of 5 days, BuzzFeed reached out to me. Like 4 big media companies reached out to me asking if they can, have permission to use my video. So just in that matter of that week, I would say probably about maybe 15 different pages across Facebook and Instagram reposted that video from TikTok.
Yeah.
And it also helped continue to grow, which is why I went from, probably 320 or so thousand followers to over 340,000 followers on Instagram. So for people that think, well, Instagram is saturated and it's so hard to grow, it's a little bit harder now to grow Instagram, but the opportunity is still there. So look at other platforms like TikTok where you can go viral. I mean, if you saw the videos that go viral on TikTok, you would understand like anything can go viral.
Yeah.
Your dog eating food and doing a funny face could go viral. So take advantage of the platforms that are where you have the most opportunity, because that's where you're going to be able to drive traffic back. And I have not one single time promoted my Instagram on TikTok. I have not done that yet. So I do plan on using my videos where now when I start traveling again, to letting people know like, hey guys, by the way, follow me on Instagram. Yeah. And the only reason I would do that is because obviously the monetization opportunity on Instagram is much greater than right now on TikTok. But there's still a monetization opportunity on TikTok, and I've been really taking a deep dive into that.
Would you say by that logic, then people should have content that's similar on both platforms? Because many people are using TikTok now, kind of just using it for fun, which I think is great. Like I love seeing adults having a fun time, dancing, families getting together, doing these dances. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
But if you, for example, were to post a video of you dancing that went viral and got 15 million views, do you think that your Instagram would see that same uptick given how different your content is on the 2 platforms?
I think that I think it still would, because, it's like if you're giving people the same exact content across all platforms, then why would they follow you? If they already follow you on one platform, why would they follow you across 3 different platforms? But for me, it's like I post, what I post on TikTok is normally what I would post on my Instagram stories.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm posting all this video content that I would normally normally would only have a lifespan of 1 day on Instagram.
Yeah.
Whereas on TikTok, it's generating views. I'm at over 314,000 followers now, and growing at a rate around 1,000 or 2,000 followers per day, just because of all the content that I have uploaded from the last 3 years of travels, and I still have another 100 videos to go. Yeah. But yeah, I think that people definitely would have an interest because they see that on my Instagram account, it's just a little bit different, which if you look at the last month or so, I've started to repost some of the viral videos that went viral on my TikTok. I started reposting those on Instagram just because I knew they would do well, and they did do very well. But yeah, I think that people would still follow. I don't think that you should keep the accounts exactly the same. If you're a blogger, if you're an influencer, if you're a business, I think that you should have a different variation of content on each platform. If you notice, like the viral, that viral thing, meme that people were doing where they have like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Why is everything different on every single photo? Is because people have different personalities on every platform. Right. And so imagine if that meme was like the same photo, people would rather follow you. Yeah, they would rather follow you on their preferred platform. But if you do have a variation of content across different platforms, I think that you're offering them a lot more. And we're talking about a small percentage of people, right, that would follow you across different platforms, because, I'd probably say about maybe 20%, 30% of your followers would be interested in following you across different platforms. And those are the super fans that we call.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you spoke a little bit about monetization, so I want to circle back on that. What are some unique ways that people are monetizing now or can monetize now on, I guess, various platforms?
On Instagram, I mean, across any social media platforms, I think the idea or the goal is to get to a point where you can provide value to brands that understand the value of the reach that an influencer has. The reason why brands spend money with an influencer or a blogger, I mean, they're all under the influencer umbrella, is because when we speak to our audience trusts, we have that trust factor, right? Whereas in just running a generic advertising, we'll reach X amount of people and then we'll convert X amount of people, but I don't think in the conversion rate as high as an influencer. And so the goal is to get to a point where you can, first you have to reach out to brands. You have to identify who is my core audience and what are the top 50 or 100 brands that I could bring value to. Identify who those brands are and then start reaching out to them with a direct message. But have a plan ready and have a package ready, have a press kit ready of who you are, your audience. Do your research on the brand as well and who they target, and so that way you can customize your message when you're reaching out to them and helping them understand why you would be of value to their brand. Why are you posting on your Instagram account, whether you have 20,000 followers or 1 million followers or 10 million followers? Why is it that you would be of value to promoting their brand? Yep. And I think that where people, I don't know if you want to get into strategy or not, but I think I'll just say this, where people lack, what most influencers lack is customizing that message to fit every single brand. I know this because I get hundreds of messages throughout my various accounts every week. And influencers are reaching out to me. And the way that they're reaching out to me, it doesn't really grab my attention. Maybe less than 0.5% of people who reach out to me grab my attention. And because of that, I end up working with them and I end up working with them at some level. But yeah, just understanding, like if you're reaching out to GoPro, understand who their audience is, right? Because if you're an influencer and your core audience is, let's call it as an extreme example, let's say that your core audience is 55 to 60, right? If your core audience is 55 to 60, right? Why would GoPro want to run an advertising campaign with you when their core audience are millennials, right? So if you can kind of look at who GoPro targets as a brand and pair it up with you, like what is the size of audience that you have that would be of value to GoPro? Mm-hmm. If 80% or 70% of your audience is that core audience, when you reach out to them, make sure you tell them, right? Like, hey, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I think I did a quick analysis on my audience, and the match between my audience and the core audience that you guys look to advertise is about 80%. I would love to talk to you guys about. See, nobody does that. Like nobody takes the time to do the work and the research. Yeah. Everyone's like, this is the common message I get. And I own a couple of companies that advertise with influencers. Let's collab. Question mark. So it's like, you're letting me do all the work. Now I have to go and do research on who you are. You're looking for me to pay you. And yes, I need you as an influencer, but guess who I'm going to give preference to? The 4 other messages that came in with a link to their press kit, with information about who they are, people that are more professional, because most likely that's going to become a more enjoyable process for me and my company, for my team. Absolutely. To work with you. And we know that you're going to provide the value because you're taking the time to do the work. And, first impression is everything. But somebody who just reaches out to us and say, hey, let's collab, it's going to be very hard. I already assume that it's going to be very difficult to get the value, to extract value from what you're going to do for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I let you go, I have one last question. And that's, what kind of content are you drawn to now personally? And what do you think does well across the board, right? Because many people are kind of getting out of their niche. And what's doing well or what can't do well, and what do you like?
What do I like? I because I'm in the industry, I like to look at all sorts of different content. I don't just stick to travel. I like to, I like to have a good laugh. I like to see what trends are, what's trending on TikTok, what's trending on Instagram, what people are sharing on Facebook. So I like to look at every, any category of content. But I feel like one thing that I think what could do really well for people nowadays is that, and I've seen this happen, especially in the travel space, everyone is so worried about about their aesthetic on their profile. And I understand that that's important to a certain level, but there's some, a lot of travel bloggers overproduce their content, right? They overproduce their content. And then there's a difference between being creative and overthinking the whole process of that creativity. Because you can be creative with an iPhone.
Yeah.
And that's by far, that's good. But I'm talking about guys that will go out and film, and I know this because I personally have done it myself too, where, we've taken videographers on the road, and we've spent days on out filming a video, a 1-minute video that we think are going to do it. Oh my God, this video is going to do amazing because it's so well done. And the color palette on it, or the color grading on it, is so great. And then we post it, and that video does 20,000 views, where normally we would get 100,000 views. And it's like, it's just so frustrating. So I think not overthinking the process of content, just got to remember that the people that follow you are real people. They're they're just like you and I. And so when you post something, the reason they're following you is because they already like you, and they already know that you're creative, and they already know that you're talented in what you do. So it's okay to post a regular shot iPhone video or photo once in a while. So as long as you're sticking to your brand voice and who you are, and that content you feel would be of value to your audience. And I always stick to that. Is this going to be of value to my audience? Are people going to enjoy watching this? Are people going to like this? Because at the end of the day, it's like, we just can't be like, I'm going to post whatever I like, because if I happen to like, I'm walking by a cactus and I happen to like the cactus, I'm not just going to post that picture, because is that going to be of value? Are people going to enjoy? They're not going to understand my thought process on why I did that. So I always ask myself, are people going to enjoy this? Is this going to entertain people or provide some sort of value for them? Whether it's, 15 seconds of entertainment, a good laugh.
Yeah.
One of my most viewed videos from this year is, we went on a trip, and my friend Sophie, I asked her to just kind of mimic as an extreme what a model would do if she was doing a photo shoot. And she did this crazy poses. I don't know if you ever saw that. I posted that. And that video instantly took off and got over 200,000 views, where my videos only average about 50,000 views on Instagram. That video got over 200,000 views in one day. And it was because it's not the norm. It's still within the travel space, because we were at this beautiful location and villa, but it's just a funny video that I normally wouldn't post, and that got the most views.
But it was relatable, and so basically
relatable, and people loved it, and people can relate to it.
I have to agree. I also posted things that are way outside my norm, and people are like, oh, I love to see your personality, or I love to see that you're dancing or laughing, because it's not, and it's true. I do curate a lot of things that I post, and the things that I say. I agree. Great.
I personally like your funny stuff, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I'm that funny. That's
when you and your friends have traveled and you guys post funny videos, or behind the scenes of you guys trying to shoot a cool video.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. You post a regular video and then you post the behind the scenes of you guys trying to do something funny. I really enjoy those videos, because it shows your personality, and also it shows that you're a relatable person. Oh, she's funny. She does funny stuff. She does goofy stuff, right? And I think that's where people go wrong is, don't take it too serious. It's okay to post different type of content from time to time. So as long as, you feel that your audience will enjoy it.
Definitely. And I feel the same about the people I follow. So I think it's good to kind of take your own advice sometimes,
Absolutely.
I enjoy watching it. So I'm sure someone will enjoy watching mine as well, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time today. This was an amazing conversation. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to share it.
You're welcome. And it was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for inviting me on.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.